Hi, Daniel. Me again, Alex. I thought I'd make a video response for you. Definitely something I have some feelings and thoughts about. Like a lot of kids, I was bullied in elementary school, middle school, high school. It was a common theme. Did I go try to get help? Sure, I did. I reached out to teachers, school administration. Only later, though, really. And they never helped. Not in any big ways. Maybe they'd take the kid off the bus for a couple months, but what did that change? I still had to run into the kid at school every day. Kids. It's never just one person. So I know what it feels like to be bullied. Believe me. And Grayson, if you ever watch this, just gotta say, kid, you rock. There's nothing right that happened to you. But you're one cool kid in my book. Don't change a damn thing. Darn thing. Potty mouth. Sorry. But why do people why do people blame someone like Grayson? It's convenient to do it, probably. It's it's more convenient to blame them than it is to step outside of themselves for a minute and join the human race. I mean, that sounds kind of harsh, but there's just there are people that empathize. They have empathy. They're not sociopaths, but their circle of care is much tighter than perhaps others. Um, I'm reminded of the Jamie Kilstein, Joe Rogan beef a couple of years ago, um, where pretty much it was over the Daniel Tosh rape joke, and they just never got on the same page. Jamie was making awesome points about rape culture and triggers and things that can really traumatize someone who's been through that kind of hell. And he made the point that to him it's just not worth it. Comedy it's isn't worth it to take the chance of causing harm. I get that. Rogan had his point that she shouldn't have been in that place, or someone shouldn't be in that place if they would possibly be so offended. And on one hand, yeah, that makes sense, right? It's like if you don't like gay people, don't go to gay bars. Don't picket them, just don't go inside, you don't have to experience it. So on one hand, you could say, sure, someone who would, knowing they would be offended, knowing for certain they would be offended, would behoove them not to go into a place unless they're looking for an argument. But but what about somebody who doesn't know they're going to be offended? What about somebody who likes Daniel Tosh's comedy because he's never made a rape joke until that night? And what he said, maybe it's just me. I don't find the humor in it, to be honest. I I guess someone could. but I don't see it. And I don't think a lot of people saw it coming. I think that the rationale that Rogan used, Joe, I love you, but man, that was not good because nobody expected that kind of a joke on, you know, on the menu or off the cuff. Either way, it was a sucker punch. So to say someone shouldn't have been there who might be offended by a rape joke, if that's just, unless the comedian's stock and trade is rape comedy and they're just that kind of a douchebag, sorry, that doesn't hold up. That's victim blaming. That's saying it's inconvenient for one person who's up there supposedly entertaining people, but it's inconvenient for them to have to consider what entertains their audience versus what offends them. That really makes no sense. I mean, their audience is their bread and butter. Schools, on the other hand, well, they get paid by the parents of their attendees, but not directly. It's just tax dollars that go there without fail. So the obligation to meet any expectations are even lower than, say, for rogue comedian like Daniel Tosh, who's not known for pulling punches. He still tailors his comedy based on what he knows is funny, and he knows what'll work and what's smart to do and what's not. He's a brilliant comedian, and that off the cuff joke was just like, whoa, man, where were you coming from? Because it contravened his point that rape jokes weren't funny by then trying to make one. It just kind of slashed it, and nobody remembered that he was trying to say it wasn't funny. They just heard him try to make it funny. It's not funny. But other than that one dumb moment, he tries very hard to do the right thing with comedy, not offend people that dramatically. But my point is, the school doesn't have to. So it's inconvenient. It's just, why do they have to do anything when they're not even getting paid for an admission price necessarily? At least not as much as a comedian gets paid. So it's just, it's a matter of not even ignorance. I wouldn't call Joe Rogan ignorant at all. He's one of the brightest guys in pop culture, I think. Definitely one of the brainiest people involved with MMA, which is why I've always loved him. It's just proved that mixed martial arts is a thinking person's sport. But Daniel Tosh is a brilliant comedian. People are brilliant people, but in the moment when it's a choice between taking on that extra weight to try and make things a little better for someone who inconveniences and just tips the balance on their whole status quo. Too many people take the selfish route and say, sorry, you shouldn't have done that. That's your fault, not my problem. Suck it up. There's no moral justification unless one's morality is simply a self-centered one. In which case, I guess it makes sense. But anyway, that's why I think people do it. They think it's inconvenient to accommodate that one person, that one person who dares come forward, who would put pressure on them to do so much more work than they want to do. They shouldn't be doing the damn job in the first place if that's the case, but I'm sure if you looked at things across the board, you'd find that's just way too common, Anyway, long enough. Wow, 11 minutes going over. Thank you for putting up with me again. Thanks for the videos, and take care. Peace.